Story title: Alien thought her weapon was a joke. She turned his course into target practice. The vast halls of the Intergalactic Training Center were buzzing with excitement. Aliens from all over the galaxy had gathered to test their strength and skill. Among them, humans were rare. But today, one human girl had stepped into the center, and everyone's attention turned toward her. Her name was Lena, small in stature, with determined eyes and a calm face. She carried a simple-looking weapon, almost like a small stick with a few buttons and glowing lights. To the aliens around her, it looked almost laughable. That is supposed to be a weapon, sneered one tall, blue-skinned alien with 6 arms. A low murmur of laughter spread across the hall. Aliens pointed at her, whispered to each other, and some even snapped pictures. Lena didn't flinch. She simply walked to the testing area, her step steady, her gaze never leaving the arena. The alien captain, a massive creature with scales that shimmered like metal, walked forward. His voice boomed across the hall. "Human, this toy cannot hurt anyone here. You are wasting your time." Lena looked up at him calmly. She didn't reply, but inside, a spark of determination lit up. This was exactly why she had come. To prove that humans were not weak, no matter how small or simple their weapon seemed. The testing hall was vast, with hovering platforms, walls that could shift positions, and floating targets. It was designed to challenge even the most skilled warriors. Lena glanced around. She had only one chance to make her mark, and she knew it. As the aliens continued to whisper and laugh, Lena remembered her training back on Earth. She had spent years mastering her weapon, learning every detail of its balance, every vibration it made, and every technique it could perform. Her weapon might look weak, but it was far from it. The first challenge was announced. All participants were to face a random opponent in a simulated combat scenario. Lena's heart beat faster, but she kept her breathing steady. When her opponent was revealed, a gasp ran through the crowd. Standing before her was Zarthol, one of the top alien trainees. His body was massive, muscles rippling under his armor. In his hands, he held a glowing plasma rifle, capable of obliterating anything in its path. The crowd cheered for him, already expecting an easy win. Zarthol looked at Lena and laughed. "Do you really think you can face me with that little toy?" Lena simply nodded, her face calm. She knew she had to focus, to use her speed, intelligence, and her weapon's hidden features. The duel began. Zarthol fired the first shot, a bright streak of energy, and Lena rolled to the side just in time. The crowd gasped. She fired back, but her weapon made only a small flash and a soft hum. The aliens laughed louder. "Ha! What is that? A spark? A joke?" Lena's eyes narrowed. She adjusted her grip, calculated the timing, and waited. Every movement she made was precise. Then, in a sudden burst of speed, she aimed at Zarthol's shield controls. A tiny shot hit the exact spot, and the shield faltered for a split second. The aliens froze. One moment of pause, and then chaos. Lena kept moving, dodging, rolling, and striking. Each shot she fired was small but precise, hitting weak points, knocking him off balance. Zarthol's eyes widened in shock. He had never faced such a weapon or such a human before. The crowd was silent now. Their laughter had vanished. Every alien watched in disbelief as Lena turned what they thought was a joke into a serious threat. Finally, with one final calculated move, she disarmed Zarthol, sending his massive weapon spinning across the arena. He stumbled backward, stunned, while Lena stood calmly, her weapon glowing softly in her hands. The hall erupted into murmurs of amazement. Even the alien captain looked surprised, though he quickly masked it with stern expression. "Interesting," he muttered under his breath. "This human is not what we expected." Lena lowered her weapon, her expression calm. She didn't need to shout or celebrate. Her actions had spoken louder than words. That night, as she prepared for the next day of training, Lena thought about what had just happened. The aliens had underestimated her, just as they underestimated all humans. But she knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. She looked out at the glowing city beyond the training center, stars stretching endlessly across the sky. A small smile appeared on her lips. Tomorrow, they would see the full extent of her skill. And this time, no one would be laughing. Story title: Alien thought her weapon was a joke. She turned his course into target practice. The next morning, the training arena was alive with anticipation. Aliens of every shape and size crowded the stands. Holographic banners floated in the air, displaying the names of the competitors. Lena's name glowed softly, almost like a quiet beacon among the chaos. The captain's voice boomed through the arena. Next challenge: all participants will face a randomly assigned opponent. The strongest will fight the strongest. Human, prepare yourself. Lena's heart pounded, but her face remained calm. She adjusted the grip on her weapon and stepped forward. Her small frame moved with confidence. She had learned long ago that in life, calm and strategy often beat brute force. Her opponent appeared in a flash of holographic light. Raxer, a massive alien with four muscular arms, each holding a different weapon. Energy shields glimmered across his body. The aliens in the crowd gasped. Raxer had won several previous tournaments. The expectation was unanimous. Lena would lose. Raxer stared at Lena and snorted. Little human, this will be over before it begins. Hand over that toy, and I may go easy on you. Lena didn't respond. She simply raised her weapon, her eyes steady. The duel began. Raxer charged with terrifying speed, his multiple weapons firing streams of energy. The crowd cheered for him, laughing at Lena as she darted to the side. She rolled, jumped, and dodged, her movements swift and precise. Her small weapon produced soft hums and tiny flashes. To the audience, it seemed almost useless. Raxer swung one of his arms, a massive energy blade cutting through the air. Lena barely escaped, rolling under the attack. Sparks flew as the blade met the arena wall. The aliens in the crowd laughed again, confident that the human had no chance. But Lena was observing carefully. Every movement of Raxer's body, every twitch, every rhythm, it was a pattern. She had been trained to see these patterns, to predict the next move before it happened. Her weapon, small and unassuming, had features Raxer could not see. Tiny projectiles, precise microbursts, and sensors that could detect weak spots. She pressed a hidden button. A small panel slid open on her weapon. Energy pulses shot out, invisible to most eyes, but precise enough to hit Raxer's shield generator. One pulse hit, and a spark flew. The shield flickered. Raxer growled, confused. He had never felt resistance like this from such a small opponent. Lena moved faster now, striking small, precise targets on his armor. Each hit caused minor malfunctions, forcing him to adjust constantly. The crowd's laughter faded into whispers of surprise. Lena's mind was calm. She remembered her training on Earth. Hitting weak points, using the environment, predicting enemy actions. She ran along a shifting platform, leaped over a barrier, and fired. A pulse hit Raxer's weapon stabilizer. It wobbled, almost falling from his grip. The aliens gasped. Even the captain raised an eyebrow. Lena's toy was no longer a joke. It was a weapon of skill and precision. Raxer roared and swung wildly, his multiple arms flailing. But Lena stayed focused, dodging with grace and agility. She used the arena itself as a weapon. Walls, floating platforms, and gravity shifts became her allies. Every movement was calculated, every shot intentional. Then came the turning point. Lena spotted a tiny gap in Raxer's armor at the joint connecting his left arm to his torso. She had one chance. With incredible speed, she aimed and fired a micro shot. The projectile hit the joint perfectly. Sparks flew, and Raxer's arm froze for a second. The audience fell silent. No one had ever seen a human take down a top-tier alien warrior like this. Even the other aliens were shocked. Raxer tried to swing his other arms, but Lena was already moving, striking again, hitting another weak point. His massive energy weapons began to fail one by one. Raxer stumbled backward, dazed. Lena didn't pause. She aimed one final shot at his central stabilizer. The shot connected. A loud clang echoed through the arena. Raxer's weapons deactivated completely, and he collapsed onto one knee. The crowd erupted, but not in laughter this time. Cheering, shocked murmurs, and claps filled the arena. Humans watching via holostreams across galaxies were in awe. This small human girl had just taken down one of the most powerful alien warriors in the center's history. The captain walked forward, his massive form casting a shadow over Lena. He studied her carefully. "Remarkable," he said slowly. "You have skill, strategy, and courage. This is unexpected." Lena lowered her weapon. Her chest was steady, her breathing calm. She didn't smile, didn't gloat. The victory was in her actions. Her eyes scanned the arena. She had proven one thing: never underestimate a human. Raxer, still on his knee, looked at her with a mix of anger and respect. "You are not like the others," he said, his voice low. Lena simply nodded. She didn't need to reply. Her actions had already spoken volumes. After the match, she walked to a quiet corner of the arena to examine her weapon. She adjusted it, checking every mechanism, every sensor, every small projectile. Even the smallest details mattered. Her weapon wasn't just a tool, it was an extension of her mind and body. She remembered what her Earth instructor had told her years ago. A weapon is only as strong as the mind that wields it, and Lena's mind was sharper than any alien could imagine. The day continued with other challenges, but Lena had made her mark. Aliens who had once laughed at her now looked at her with caution and curiosity. They whispered among themselves, trying to understand how one human girl could turn the odds against a powerful opponent. By evening, the arena cleared, but Lena stayed behind. She trained alone, running simulations, practicing movements, and testing her weapon. She knew the next day would be even more difficult. The aliens would expect her to fail, but she was ready. Every day was a test. Every match a chance to prove that humans were not to be underestimated. As night fell, Lena looked up at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of challenges and battles yet to come. But she was not afraid. Every step she took, every shot she fired, was a step toward proving that size, species, or appearance never determined strength. Her small weapon glowed softly in the dim light. What looked like a joke to others was actually a symbol of human ingenuity, skill, and courage. Lena smiled faintly. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opponents, and perhaps new surprises. But she was ready. The day after a stunning victory over Raxer, the intergalactic training center was buzzing like never before. Whispers filled every corner of the massive hall. Alien trainees and instructors alike were talking about Lena, the human girl with a toy weapon that had taken down one of the most powerful warriors. Some aliens stared at her with disbelief, some with admiration. But few looked at her with suspicion. How could a human, small and seemingly unarmed, defeat one of the elite trainees? Lena walked through the halls calmly, ignoring the murmurs. Her focus was on the upcoming challenges. She knew that to survive here, and to prove humans were more than what aliens thought, she had to rely not just on her weapon, but on her hidden skills. No one knew the full extent of her training. On Earth, Lena had trained in harsh conditions that no alien could imagine. Storms that could strip flesh from bone. Deserts with heat so intense that even machines melted. She had trained in gravity simulators, zero-G chambers, and extreme combat zones. Every moment of her training had been grueling, building strength, speed, and precision. Back in the center, Lena found a quiet corner in the training halls. She laid her weapon down on the bench and began testing it. Small lights blinked. Sensors hummed softly, and the weapon adjusted her grip almost as if it were alive. While she worked, a few aliens lingered nearby. Curious but cautious, one whispered to another, "Do you see what she's doing? She's adjusting the weapon again. It's unlike anything we've seen." Lena didn't notice them. Her mind was focused on mechanics, on improving precision, on predicting movements that hadn't even happened yet. She ran simulations in her mind. Every possible attack, every counterattack, every scenario she could face in the next matches. A sudden noise behind her made her glance up. It was the captain, walking slowly with his massive armored steps echoing across the hall. "You have skill, human. I see it. But skill alone will not be enough here." His voice was deep, commanding, yet there was curiosity in it. Lena nodded slightly. "I know, Captain. I am ready." He studied her for a moment. "Interesting. You do not boast. You do not show fear. But there is something you hide." She smiled faintly. "I don't hide, sir. I prepare." The captain walked away, but his eyes lingered on her. Even he could sense there was more to Lena than met the EY as evening approached. Lena went to a training simulator chamber. The room was designed to test reflexes, agility, and combat strategy. Holographic enemies appeared in waves, attacking from all directions. Lena moved like water, her body flowing with precision, dodging every attack. She fired her weapon with micropulses that hit multiple targets at once. The pulses weren't strong enough to destroy, but they forced the holographic enemies to stagger and fail their attacks. The display screen showed 100% efficiency in her movements. A holographic instructor appeared, analyzing her performance. Human efficiency above 98%. Reaction time unmatched. Weapon integration perfect. Lena allowed herself a small smile. This was a result of years of hidden training. Years the aliens would never have guessed. Every small move, every pulse, every calculated step. It was a symphony of strategy and precision. Suddenly, the chamber doors opened and a group of alien trainees entered, led by Raxer himself. They had come to watch, curious and skeptical. "You think this human is still a threat?" one whispered. Raxer's gaze remained on Lena. He had learned to respect her, though he would never admit it openly. "There is more to her than we know. Watch closely." Lena continued her training. Ignoring them, she activated a hidden mode on her weapon. Tiny drones emerged from compartments, invisible to naked eye, each programmed to track enemy movements, predict attacks, and assist in targeting. The aliens watched in awe as Lena moved through a simulated battlefield, avoiding hundreds of attacks, hitting weak points, and using every environmental element strategically. It wasn't just skill, it was genius. The captain had said it would not be enough, but Lena knew better. She combined raw speed, precise aim, and tactical intelligence. Every move was intentional, designed to teach the aliens a lesson they wouldn't forget. Hours passed, and Lena finally stopped. Her weapon retracted its drones and settled back into its simple form. The aliens approached, hesitant but full of questions. How did you do that?" one asked. Lena looked at them calmly. "Preparation and observation. The mind is stronger than any weapon." The aliens exchanged glances. They had underestimated her, and it had nearly cost them their pride. That night, Lena returned to her quarters. She opened a small panel on her weapon and adjusted it one last time. Her thoughts drifted to the challenges ahead. The next day would bring opponents even stronger, faster, and smarter. But Lena was ready. Her training was more than just skill. It was strategy, planning, and hidden tools. She knew the aliens would try to predict her moves, but she was always one step ahead. Every strike, every dodge, every pulse from her weapon was calculated to perfection. Outside, the stars shone brightly across the alien city. The vast expanse of the galaxy reminded Lena that there were countless challenges ahead, but she was not afraid. Humans had survived against impossible odds for centuries, and she would continue that legacy here. The next morning, Lena entered the arena again. The whispers were louder now. Aliens who had once laughed at her now watched with caution, some even with fear. They had learned the hard way that appearances could be deceiving. Her opponent appeared on the platform, a towering alien with armor that shimmered like liquid metal. He wielded twin plasma swords, each capable of cutting through walls. The crowd cheered, confident in his victory. But Lena's mind was calm. She had seen patterns before. She knew weaknesses were always present, no matter how strong the enemy seemed. She adjusted her weapon, her eyes sharp, her body ready. As the fight began, Lena moved like a shadow, striking from unexpected angles. Her hidden drones tracked every movement, feeding data to her weapon. She dodged, countered, and struck with precision. The alien swung his swords, but Lena anticipated every move. Tiny pulses from her weapon disrupted his armor systems, slowing his attacks. The crowd gasped, unsure how one human could challenge such a mighty warrior. With every strike, Lena demonstrated her hidden skill. Her training, her preparation, and her weapon all worked in harmony. The alien began to falter, surprised by the unexpected precision. The captain watched from above, silently nodding. Lena had proven herself not just with luck or courage, but with strategy, skill, and intelligence. She was a force the galaxy could not ignore. As the match ended, Lena stood victorious once again. The whispers had turned into murmurs of respect. Even Raxer, who had trained her first challenge, looked on with a grudging admiration. Lena knew this was only the beginning. The hidden skill she had revealed today would serve as a warning to every alien who underestimated her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opponents, and new opportunities to prove that humans were more than what others expected. The arena was alive. Thousands of alien spectators had gathered, their eyes fixed on the battle platform that hovered high above the training grounds. Holographic screens displayed Lena's name alongside her next opponent, the reigning champion of the Intergalactic Training Center. Krythar, an alien whose reputation for unmatched strength and ruthless precision sent shivers through even the bravest warriors. Krythar's armor shimmered like liquid metal under the arena lights, and twin plasma blades crackled with energy in his hands. The crowd roared, confident that the human would fail spectacularly this time. Lena stepped onto the platform with the calm of someone walking through her backyard. Her small weapon rested lightly in her hands, glowing faintly with hidden energy. She scanned the arena, noting every obstacle, every shift in gravity, and every vantage point she could use. Krythar's voice boomed. "Human, today you will understand the difference between strength and weakness. Prepare to be crushed." Lena's eyes narrowed slightly. Strength is not always size, and speed is not always power. Let's see who learns today. The duel began. Krythar lunged with lightning speed, his plasma blades cutting through the air like torrents of light. The crowd cheered, sure the human would be sliced in half in seconds. But Lena moved with grace and precision. She dodged and rolled, her weapon producing small, calculated pulses that disrupted Krythar's attack patterns. Each pulse targeted a joint or control mechanism in his armor, tiny sparks flying, forcing him to adjust constantly. Krythar roared, spinning and slashing in every direction. Lena leaped to a floating platform, narrowly avoiding a deadly strike. She fired a microshot from her weapon, hitting his energy stabilizer. Sparks erupted. Krythar stumbled. The crowd's cheers faltered. Aliens whispered nervously. This human, this girl, was not just surviving. She was controlling the fight. Lena's mind worked faster than anyone could follow. She activated a secondary mode on her weapon, releasing invisible targeting drones. Each drone tracked Krythar's movements, feeding real-time data into Lena's calculations. She dodged another flurry of attacks, then fired. The shot hit exactly where she intended, Krythar's right knee joint. Sparks flew, his balance faltered. Another pulse targeted his left shoulder. His blade slowed. The audience was silent now. Every alien who had doubted her watched in disbelief. Their champion, the mighty Krythar, was struggling against a small human girl with what looked like a toy. Krythar roared again, frustration clear in his voice. He swung his blades wildly, but Lena was always one step ahead. She moved unpredictably, used the environment to her advantage, and struck with precision. Every move was calculated. Every pulse from her weapon was intentional. The arena itself became a battlefield of strategy. Lena leapt onto a shifting wall, rolled across a rotating platform, and used the gravity field to launch herself toward Krythar's exposed side. Another microshot hit, this time disabling his energy shield for a brief moment. Krythar stumbled backward, momentarily disarmed. Lena didn't pause. She fired a rapid series of pulses, each hitting a vital point in his armor. Sparks, smoke, and small explosions erupted. Krythar's twin blades flickered and died for a few seconds. The champion was stunned. The crowd erupted, not in laughter, but in awe. Even the captain, who had watched Lena closely from above, nodded slowly. Lena was no longer just a human. She was a force that could not be ignored. But Lena didn't allow herself to celebrate. She knew Krythar would recover, and the fight was far from over. Her hidden skill and preparation were her only advantages, and she needed every one of them. Krythar roared, spinning and regaining control. He attacked with renewed fury, faster and more erratic. Lena's eyes tracked every movement, every twitch of his muscles. She adjusted her trajectory, her pulses, and her timing perfectly. Then came the turning point. Lena identified a critical weak spot in Krythar's chest armor, a control panel that regulated his plasma blades. With perfect timing, she fired a precise pulse. Sparks erupted, and one of his blades deactivated completely. Krythar's eyes widened in shock. He had underestimated her, just as every alien had underestimated humans before. His attacks became desperate, uncoordinated. Lena saw the opening. She leapt from a high platform, aimed carefully, and fired her final sequence of pulses. Each shot struck a vulnerable joint, forcing Krythar to stagger and lose balance. With one last calculated movement, Lena fired directly at the central stabilizer of his armor. A loud clang echoed through the arena. Krythar fell to one knee, defeated. The audience erupted into cheers, a mix of astonishment and admiration. Aliens whispered each other, stunned that a human had not only survived but dominated the greatest champion of the center. The captain descended onto the platform, his massive form casting a shadow over Lena. He looked at her carefully, studying every detail of her demeanor. "Human, you have exceeded all expectations. Your skill is extraordinary." His deep voice rumbled. "You are no longer a student. You are a master of strategy and precision." Lena lowered her weapon, her chest steady. She didn't boast. She didn't need to. Her victory spoke for itself. Krythar, still kneeling, looked up at her. His voice was heavy with respect. "I underestimated you. Humans are not weak." Lena nodded slightly. Underestimating humans has always been a mistake. The arena slowly cleared as Lena left the platform. She felt a surge of satisfaction, but also anticipation. The challenges ahead would be harder. There would be more opponents, faster and smarter. But today, she had proven that humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, thinkers, and warriors in their own right. That night, Lena reviewed the day's events in her quarters. She studied the patterns of her opponents, the reactions of crowd, and the way her weapon had responded under pressure. Every detail mattered. She was preparing for the next day, for the next battle, for the ultimate test that would solidify her place not just in the academy, but in the galaxy's history. As the stars shone outside her window, Lena allowed herself a small smile. Her hidden skills, her preparation, and her intelligence had turned what the aliens thought was a joke into a warning. Tomorrow, the galaxy would witness a human who had mastered the art of war in a way they had never imagined. The arena was silent, a calm unlike anything the Intergalactic Training Center had ever seen. Every alien who had gathered was holding their breath. Today was not just another challenge. It was a final demonstration, the ultimate test to see whether Lena, the human, could truly stand among the galaxy's finest. Her previous victories had already made waves. The whispers had grown louder. Even the captain, who had once doubted her, now watched with anticipation. Humans, the galaxy thought, were small, fragile, and limited. Lena had shattered that illusion. But today, she would turn her story from victory into legend. Her opponent appeared. Unlike the others, this alien was not only powerful but cunning. A strategist warrior named Forlak, whose reputation was for predicting every move of his opponents and exploiting the tiniest weakness. His armor shimmered black, absorbing light, and his weapon glowed with a menacing energy field. He smiled, almost mockingly. "Human, this is a final stage. Show us why you survived so far, or accept your defeat." Lena didn't speak. She didn't need to. Every fiber of her being was focused. She adjusted her weapon, its tiny lights flickering softly. She had prepared for this moment for weeks. Every opponent had taught her something. Every victory had strengthened her skill. And now, all of it would come together. The arena shifted suddenly. Platforms rotated, walls rose and fell, and floating barriers created unpredictable paths. This final test was as much about adaptability as it was about combat skill. Lena's eyes scanned everything in a fraction of a second. Forlak lunged, his weapon slicing through the air at impossible speed. Lena rolled, dodging, and her first microshot struck his armor. Sparks flew, but it barely slowed him. He smirked. Predictable. But Lena had expected that. Her hidden drones, invisible to the naked eye, began tracking Forlak's movements. Each microshot was guided, precise, striking weak points in his armor that even he didn't notice. The duel escalated. Forlak attacked with strategy and precision, but Lena countered with instinct and preparation. Every step she took, Every pulse she fired was a blend of her training on Earth and her understanding of alien combat. The crowd was in awe. Aliens whispered, stared. Some even hid their eyes, unable to believe what they were witnessing. The human girl, with her small weapon, was outsmarting and outmaneuvering the galaxy's greatest strategist. Forlak's attacks became frantic. Lena used the environment masterfully. Floating platforms, shifting walls, and the gravity fields themselves became tools of combat. She launched herself into the air, firing a micro-sequence of pulses. Each pulse disabled a small component of Forlak's armor, limiting his mobility. Forlak stumbled. Lena's calm eyes met his. He realized, perhaps too late, that he had been predicting the human's moves, but she had anticipated his predictions. Every trap he had set for her had been turned against him. The captain, watching from above, finally spoke aloud. Incredible, she has turned combat into art. Every move is calculated, yet fluid. She is beyond expectation. Lena pressed a button on her weapon. Tiny compartments opened, and micro-drones launched silently. They circled Forlak, tracking every limb, every motion. Her weapon pulsed, guiding precise shots. One by one, Forlak's weapons began to fail. His energy blades flickered, his armor staggered. The audience gasped. The once feared Forlak was faltering against a human girl. Every alien who had doubted her before now watched with awe and respect. Lena leapt high, spinning in midair, and fired the final series of micro-shots. They hit simultaneously at critical points in Forlak's armor. Sparks and smoke erupted. He fell to his knees. The crowd was stunned into silence, then erupted into deafening cheers. Lena landed gracefully, her small weapon glowing softly in her hands. She didn't shout, didn't boast. Her actions had told the story. Humans were not weak, not fragile, and certainly not a joke. The captain descended to the arena floor, his massive form casting a shadow over everyone. He looked at Lena with newfound respect. Human, you have proven what many never believed. You have shown skill, intelligence, and courage beyond any species I have known. He turned to the gathered aliens. Learn from her. Respect her. Today, we acknowledge a human as a warrior unlike any other. Even Raxer, who had faced Lena in her first challenge, stepped forward. We were blind. She is no longer just a human. She is the master. Lena allowed herself a small smile. She looked around the arena, seeing faces filled with awe, respect, and perhaps a little fear. This was the moment she had trained for, the moment her preparation had led to, but more importantly, she knew that the message went beyond her victories. Humans had been underestimated for centuries. Their size, their weapons, their appearance. None of it mattered if the mind and determination were strong. Lena had turned a joke into legend. That night, the arena emptied, but the stories of her triumph spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Holographic streams, news from other planets, and whispers among soldiers and trainees alike carried the tale of the human who had defeated champions and strategists alike. Lena sat quietly in her quarters, her weapon beside her. She thought about the journey, the laughter, the underestimation, the challenges. She realized that her strength had never been just her training or her weapon or her skill. It had been her resolve, her ability to see beyond what others thought possible. She wrote a small note to herself. Never be judged by your size or appearance. Every challenge is a chance to prove yourself. Every doubt is an opportunity to show truth. The next morning, new recruits arrived at the Intergalactic Training Center. They looked at Lena with curiosity, some with doubt, but she didn't need to speak. Her reputation had already preceded her. The captain assigned her a new role. She would now teach humans and aliens alike, demonstrating strategy, skill, and the power of preparation. Her course became official, and the lessons she taught would shape the future of warriors across the galaxy. Lena walked through training halls, her weapon glowing faintly at her side. Aliens who once laughed now bowed slightly in respect. She had turned what they thought was a joke into a legend. Her final thought before leaving the arena for the night was simple. Strength is not in the size of the weapon or the body. It is in the courage, intelligence, and determination of the one who wields it. That is the true power of humanity. The stars outside shone brighter than ever, reflecting in Lena's eyes. The galaxy had witnessed a human's triumph, and her story, once a joke, would be remembered forever